December 17th, 1944. Snow explodes against the hull as the Tiger II lurches forward, then suddenly dies. Inside the cramped steel beast, Untersturmführer Keller curses, slamming his fist against the dead instrument panel. Outside, tracers from unseen American positions rip across the tree line, slicing through the morning gloom.
"Restart it,"
He yells, but his driver only shouts back.
"No fuel, Herr Untersturmführer. Nothing left."
For a heartbeat, Keller freezes. This is impossible. The entire spearhead, Panther's half-tracked supply trucks, is stacked up on the forest road behind him, all silent, all empty. And somewhere ahead, rumor says, lies a miracle, 50,000 American gallons, abandoned in the snow, the fuel that lost the war. Keller kicks open the turret hatch and pulls himself into the freezing dawn. What he sees steals his breath. A full battalion of German armor stretched down the road like a steel serpent, motionless, their commanders waving in frustration, engines bone dry. A shell whistles overhead and detonates behind the column, showering the tanks with earth. The Americans are probing, testing, getting closer. Keller drops back into the turret.
"We cannot stay here. Without fuel, we're targets."
His radio crackles alive. Piper's headquarters.
"All units, push to Hansfeld. Intelligence reports U.S. jerrycans in massive quantity. Repeat, tens of thousands of gallons."
Keller exhales. It sounds insane, but it's the only hope left. The Tiger's engine stays dead, so Keller's crew jumps out, boots crunching through the crusted snow as they run. Around them, dozens of tank crews abandon their machines, forming a desperate, silent march toward Hansfeld. Machine gun fire pops from somewhere behind. American recon units, closer than expected.
"Schneller, move."
Keller shouts, pushing his men forward. They crest a small rise and freeze. Below them lies the village, fire still burning in oil drums, half-eaten rations scattered in the snow. And then Keller sees them. Rows, endless rows, pyramids of American jerry cans. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands, 50,000 gallons, just sitting there. Keller's breath clouds in the icy air as he steps closer, hardly believing his eyes. The Americans had fled in such haste they hadn't even bothered to torch the depot. Coffee still steams in metal cups. A radio crackles with an abandoned broadcast. A grenadier beside him pries open a can, sniffs, then grins in disbelief.
"Hochoktanik, Herr Untersturmführer. Aviation grade."
Keller feels a surge of triumph. With this, the Kampfgruppe could move again, could strike again. But as he watches his men swarm the depot, filling buckets, hoses, anything that will carry fuel, a cold unease creeps in. Why would the Americans leave behind what Germany would guard with entire divisions? What kind of enemy abandons 50,000 gallons and keeps marching forward? The refueling frenzy is cut short by distant engines, American engines. Keller snaps his head toward the western road. A column of U.S. armored cars appears through the blowing snow, headlights glowing like predatory eyes.
"Find contact."
Someone yells. Instantly, German rifles and machine guns open up. Tracers stitch the road, forcing the American scouts to swerve for cover. Mortars thump from the tree line, blasting geysers of white powder into the air. Keller ducks behind a stack of jerry cans as bullets smack into the metal, the fumes almost overwhelming.
"Protect the fuel. If we lose this, the whole offensive dies."
But even as he says it, a new sound rises behind him, the rumble of German engines finally coming alive. Panthers, half-tracks, even Keller's own Tiger II roar back to life one after another, engines growling like awakened beasts. Clouds of exhaust billow into the frozen air as drivers gun throttles, eager, desperate to move again. Keller sprints toward his tank, shouting over the deafening noise.
"Form up, push them back, drive them off the road."
The first Panther bursts from the depot perimeter, its 75mm gun barking. An American armored car erupts in flames, sliding sideways into a snowbank. The rest of the U.S. scouts scatter, radios blaring frantic warnings. Keller climbs onto his turret as the Tiger rumbles toward him, warm exhaust washing over his frozen hands. For a moment, victory feels real again. 50,000 gallons have turned paralysis into momentum, but Keller can't shake the feeling growing in his gut. If the Americans could abandon this much fuel, what unimaginable reserves did they still have left? The column pushes out of Hansfeld with renewed force, treads grinding the frozen road into gravel. Keller's Tiger leads the charge now, its engine fed on American fuel, thundering stronger than he's ever heard. Ahead, scattered U.S. infantry fall back toward the next ridge, firing as they retreat. A bazooka round slams into a nearby Panzer IV, blowing off a track and pitching it sideways. The crew bails out, scrambling through the snow. Keller swings his turret, lines up the ridge, and fires. The 88mm shell detonates in a shower of earth and splintered trees, sending the Americans diving for cover. His gunner laughs.
"We can reach them Meuse now, Herr Untersturmführer. Nothing can stop us.
But Keller's eyes narrow. Nothing, except the question he can't escape. Why did the enemy simply leave 50,000 gallons behind? And what if this miracle is no miracle at all? But the first glimpse of a terrifying truth about the war they're fighting, the Kampfgruppe advances deeper into the Ardennes, engines humming with their newfound lifeblood. But as dusk settles, the road narrows into a ravine flanked by dense pines. Perfect ambush country. Keller's headset crackles.
Vorsicht! American armor ahead.
Before he can respond, a burst of machine gun fire rakes the lead half-track. Then, boom! A Sherman tank fires from concealment on the ridge, its shell smashing into a German supply truck. Fuel drums erupt in a tower of flame.
Ambush. All guns. Front.
Keller shouts. Panthers pivot their turrets, returning fire. Shells scream through the trees. The Sherman reverses, its tracks clawing desperately, but a Panther's second shot catches it squarely, flipping the American tank onto its side. The battlefield belongs to Keller's men again, but as he surveys the smoking wrecks, he notices something chilling among the flames. More American fuel cans, scattered everywhere, as if thrown aside without a second thought. Keller jumps down from the Tiger, crunching through the snow toward the burning truck. American jerry cans lie half buried in the drift, some pierced by shrapnel, others still perfectly full. He lifts one. It's heavy, untouched, unprotected.
Herr Untersturmführer, they didn't even try to take it with them.
A grenadier mutters, stunned. Keller turns the can in his hands. The U.S. star is stenciled boldly on the side, bright, clean, as if mass-produced by the tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. Another explosion booms down the road. More American fuel stores abandoned in their retreat, now burning in spectacular pillars of flame. Keller feels his stomach tighten. This wasn't waste, this was confidence, the kind only an enemy drowning in supply could afford. And suddenly 50,000 gallons of one no longer feels like a miracle, but a warning. The Kampfgruppe pushes on, but Keller can't shake the unease clawing at him. Every crossroads they seize, every barn, every depot, every overturned American truck reveals the same thing. More fuel, more cans, more abundance. Enough to run a German regiment for a week, simply left behind. As they crest another rise, the night sky ahead flickers orange. Not artillery, not burning vehicles, something far larger.
Gott im Himmel.
Keller whispers. Below them in a shallow valley sits a sprawling American fuel depot, an ocean of jerry cans stretching farther than the headlights can reach. But the Americans are already there, and they're not defending it. Keller watches in disbelief as U.S. engineers run between the stacks, pouring long trails of gasoline across the snow, preparing it for destruction. They're about to burn millions of gallons just to keep it out of German hands. A shout echoes across the valley, an American officer waving his men back. Then in one smooth motion, he pulls the pin on a white phosphorus grenade and hurls it into the fuel-soaked snow. The night erupts. A wall of fire roars upward, hotter and taller than anything Keller has ever seen. The first blast ignites the next row of cans, then the next, and then the entire depot goes up in a chain of thunderous detonations. His gunner stares, speechless.
They burned it all, just like that.
Keller can barely breathe as the firestorm lights the sky. If the Americans can afford to destroy this much fuel, then what chance does Germany truly have? Behind him, officers gather, stunned into silence. One finally whispers,
They burned more fuel in 5 minutes than we've used in this entire offensive.
Keller swallows hard. The truth settles like ice in his chest. The Americans weren't careless. They weren't desperate. They were so impossibly supplied that they could incinerate a fortune of gasoline without blinking. And suddenly Keller understands. This war is no longer about courage or tanks or tactics. It's about scale. An enemy whose waste is greater than Germany's hope. The Kampfgruppe moves on, but the men are different now, quieter, glancing at the sky as if expecting another pillar of American fire to descend at any moment. Keller feels it too, a heaviness, a knowledge that no amount of skill or bravery can refill an empty tank. Suddenly radio static crackles through his headset.
Enemy armor approaching from the west. Shermans, at least a company.
Keller snaps back into the present.
Panthers forward. Tiger with me. We hold this road.
Engines roar, treads churn through the snow, and his Tiger II swings into firing position. Tracers flash across the valley as American tanks crest a ridge, silhouetted against the burning depot behind them. Keller's gunner takes aim.
Fire.
The Tiger's 88mm cannon unleashes a thunderous blast, and the battle erupts once more. The first Sherman disappears in a burst of flame, but 3 more push through the smoke, guns blazing. Their shells hammer the ridge, showering Keller's tank with shards of rock and burning debris.
Reload.
Keller yells. A Panther to his left takes a hit, its turret ringing like a struck bell. The crew bails out, tumbling down the snowy slope as another American round rips into the hull, setting it ablaze. Keller steadies himself.
Gunner, second tank, left, fire.
Another 88mm blast, another Sherman crippled, but the Americans keep coming, relentless, confident, unhurried, as if they have endless reserves of armor, ammunition, and fuel. Behind Keller, a German grenadier mutters the words everyone is thinking.
They fight like they know they'll never run dry.
And Keller realizes they probably never will. The Americans begin to flank. Keller sees it instantly, a coordinated sweep, clean and methodical, the kind only an army unconstrained by supply can execute. He radios frantically.
Pull back to the village. Conserve ammunition.
But even as he gives the order, his driver speaks the words Keller dreads.
Herr Untersturmführer, fuel gauge is dropping fast. We have maybe 10 minutes.
10 minutes against an enemy that seems to have 10 million. Keller looks back at the burning sea of American fuel. The heat still washes over the battlefield, mocking them or warning them. He finally understands the true power of the enemy they face. The Americans hadn't just beaten them tactically. They had made fuel, Germany's rarest treasure, into something disposable, ridiculous, almost trivial. And that, Keller realizes, is how wars are truly won. Keller gives the only order a German officer dreads.
Abandon surplus vehicles. Save what can move. Fall back now.
Engines sputter, cough, and die one by one as the Kampfgruppe retreats, some tanks grinding forward a few meters before stalling forever in the snow. Crews leap out, planting charges inside the hulls, turning their proud machines into smoking wrecks. Behind them, the Shermans advance steadily, not even bothering to chase at full speed. Keller takes one last look at the Tiger II that carried him this far. Its engine still ticks with fading heat before falling silent. He whispers almost to himself,
They drown in gasoline, and we are dying of thirst.
As the flames of the destroyed depot flicker behind him, Keller finally sees the truth. One ridiculous, wasteful American method didn't just show Germany its losses, it showed them the war was already over.